Hey, welcome back to a new installment of the Wide Right Podcast. I'm Manny Navarro from The Athletic, joined today, Monday night, 8:30 p.m., November 4th, by one of the best wide receivers in the country, one of the best playmakers in the country. You can see this guy on both sides of the field sometimes. Jabari Brady from Monarch High School in Coconut Creek, Florida. We're also joined by his coach, who has joined us via phone, Coach Calvin Davis, who's won three consecutive district championships over there at Monarch, got his team to the state semifinals last year, and Jabari Brady was obviously a big part of that. Jabari, thanks for coming on the show. I'm glad you were able to join us tonight.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Coach, I'm going to start with you because you know this man really, really well. Um, I was just telling you off air, I wasn't even aware of all the rules now in high school football that, kids could be at one school 1 minute, transfer, come back, and that's exactly what happened with Jabari. He started the year at Chaminade, ended up coming back home to Monarch, and it looks like a happy ending for you guys there at Monarch because you got one of your best players back. What does he mean to your football team, and what kind of player is Jabari?
I mean, he means a lot. It's just his leadership and some of the characteristics that he brings. A lot of those guys look up to him. They've played with him for 2 years. So a lot of those guys were happy, to have him back. They've raised their level of play as soon as he stepped back on the field. He's a great teammate, great leader. So those guys love being around him. So it was very, very, very good to have him back.
And Jabari, we live in the era of the transfer portal, right? In college sports, I write about guys that come in and out of the transfer portal and change schools. I've seen guys do it three and four times. What made you want to come back to Monarch? What made you want to come back to where you started your high school career?
I mean, me coming back to Monarch, I just thought it was a really business decision for me because it's just what's best for me of how Coach Davis puts me in a position to be great on offense and defense and on special teams too. So I just love that for me and him.
Yeah, you guys obviously you've had a great career for him. I was looking at some of your numbers from last year: 70 catches, a boatload of yards last season as a sophomore, close to 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. You play some defense obviously as well. This season, 18 catches, 422 yards, five touchdowns in 5 games for Monarch, five tackles and an interception on defense. We're in the era of Travis Hunter, where he's arguably the best player in college football. I know the quarterback down the street at the University of Miami wants to win the Heisman too, but Travis Hunter's such a special talent, and getting a chance to watch him, what he's able to do, the amount of conditioning that it takes to be able to play both sides, to play that many snaps. Is Travis somebody maybe you look up to, Jabari, in terms of what he's been able to do, and do you want to be a guy who does the same thing in college, or do you want to be a one position guy at the next level?
Mr. Travis is a person I really look up to because he plays both sides of the ball. So he does the YouTube stuff of how he manages himself, of how he plays offense and defense and get his cardio right. So I really look up to him, and I really want to play both sides of the ball when I go to college too.
How much are you doing that right now at the high school level? Obviously, I mentioned the stats. You've played some defense, but how many snaps would you say you're doing on offense per game? Is it 100% of the snaps on offense? Is it 60% of the snaps on what's the percentages of how much you're playing on both sides of the ball right now?
I'll probably say like 95% of the time.
On both sides of the ball?
Yes, sir.
How do you do it? I mean, how do you maintain the just being able to breathe and catch your breath? How do you sort of survive that kind of a workload?
I do a lot of running, especially I just started doing running in the early morning, so I just get my cardio right and then just translates in the game.
It's amazing to be able to play that much. And obviously health is something that Travis has to worry about too, right? Where he's not throwing his body into any positions where he can get hurt because play both sides of the football, you got to preserve your body a little bit. So I got to imagine maybe you go get some massages, maybe you're sitting in the ice bath. How do you preserve your body to stay fresh like that, Jabari?
I take ice baths once a week. It's either before the game or Thursday before the game, or I take it after the game on the Monday or Saturday.
Wow. Coach Davis, how do you manage his snaps in terms of as a coach? You know, when you're watching him in the game, you know, and you have him out there on offense, have him out there on defense. You know, how often do you sort of ask him, "Hey, can you go back out there," or are you making these decisions for him because you know you don't want to overwork him either?
Never. I let him decide when he needs a breather, because we feel like our best players need to be on the field. So whenever he feels like he needs to take a break, then we'll give him a break. But for the most part, he's out there to make plays, and that's what he does. So he enjoys being on the field 100% of the time. So we kind of give him the option of when he needs to take a breather, when he needs to come out, when he needs that mental reset.
hmm Is there like a sign, Jabari, that you use? You just kind of tap the helmet, or what do you? How do you sort of give coach the sign? Hey, get somebody in for me. I need a break. What do you tell them? How do you express that?
I just say I need one.
And that's it. No,
I don't,
no hand signal, nothing like that. No tapping the helmet. Just I
but
need
I
one, and
don't
that's
really,
it.
I don't really get off the field because I love making plays on the field. So it's rarely for me to say that.
Yeah. Travis Hunter's obviously, you know, he's the standard now that people look up to. Had you ever gotten a chance to talk to him at all? I know and we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, your recruitment and all that kind of stuff, but I'm curious, have you reached out to him or any other guys that have done that and played both ways at the next level? Because it's one thing to do it in high school, it's another thing to do it at the college level where, you know, everybody is super talented and everybody is big bodied. You know, you got 350-pound linemen out there all over the field. How do you have you reached out to talk to him at all?
No, I haven't reached out to talk to him, never, but someday I will talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see how he does it every single week, and you know, obviously he had to miss a game recently, but back on the field, putting up huge numbers on both sides of the ball. When coaches recruit you, is that something that you talk about that you want to play both ways in college, and do they tell you maybe there's a minimum standard you have to meet for them to allow you to do that?
I mean, I don't really talk to coaches about that.
hmm
I can play any position on the field no matter what. If they want me to play receiver, I'll play receiver. If they want me to play DB, I'll play DB. If they want me to play both, I can play both. It doesn't really matter to me.
How many schools are recruiting you to play both ways? Has any schools expressed that to you through the early recruitment process of, hey, we're okay with letting you play both ways?
Yes, sir. There's been a lot of schools, but most schools want me as a DB because I'm long and tall, but most schools want me as a receiver because the playmaking ability I have.
Has any coach told you that's crazy, or they're trying to t talk you out of it and say just play one side of it? You know, don't do it, or are they all for it and they want you to do it? Especially because you know you see what Travis Hunter has done. The whole country's watching that guy every single week.
Yes, sir. There's been a lot of coaches that made me try to switch positions, but I'm going to be the one that determined that, and for sure the coach too that I commit to. But yeah,
Mhm. I spoke to you last year at the Broward High School football media days, and you were coming off your freshman year. This was in August before your sophomore year, before you went out and you put up even bigger numbers. And you were already starting for your high school team. You already had a big role. But I remember you told me you ran a 4.39 in the 40-yard dash. You know, laser timed and everything. I mean, you're a high school sophomore doing that. It's pretty remarkable. Physically, you're already what, 6'2", 6'3"? What are you, how tall are you now and how much do you weigh now?
I'm a 6'3" and 195.
6'3", 195. Have you run the 40 again? Is 4.39 still your best time, or have you even improved that?
I haven't run a 40 since I ran a 4.39.
No reason to do it again, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we talked a little bit about some of the schools then. You mentioned Miami. You mentioned the fact that you grew up like kind of rooting for Miami a little bit, watching them play locally. You had Florida, Florida State, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. Those were the schools you mentioned to me early on. I was looking at your social media accounts. I noticed you were at a Miami game not too long ago. You got a photo, I think, there with Cam Ward doing the whole, you know, thing. Uh, where who is doing the best job of recruiting you right now, Jabari? Who would you say you have some of the best relationships with? And just take us through that, what the experience has been like now that you are a junior and looking maybe to make a decision soon.
I mean, it's been a lot of schools contacting me, been in a relationship with me, but I can say for sure Miami's for sure up there. They've been contacting me every week, telling me have a great game. Coaches texting me, just making sure that I'm okay, and they're showing interest in me. And there's a bunch of other schools too.
Tell me about some of the places you've been on campus. I saw that I think you were up in Gainesville, right, for the season opener between the Hurricanes and the Gators.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about some of the other campuses you've been on.
Um, I've been up to Oregon one time. It was great
Hmm.
up there. I went to Texas A&M. It was surprisingly good
Hmm.
because Texas is a big campus. Texas A&M is a big campus. It was fun. It's a lot more schools that I can name, but every school I've been to has been fun and great.
When you think about picking a college, what ultimately do you think matters most for you, in terms of finding that fit? There's been so many great wide receivers that have come out of here, gone other places. Jeremiah Smith, you see him as a freshman right now at Ohio State, putting up huge numbers. You guys have had players come out of Monarch High School that have gone on to do great things at the receiver position as well. What do you sort of factor in as the most important thing for you when you pick a school where you want to play?
I just want a school that can develop me as the person to be great on the field and off the field. I want to be the person that can contribute to the team and to other people outside of football.
Do you know what you want to major in, what you want to study, or is that too far away for you to even think about?
Now, I know what I want to study in. I want to major in sports medicine, like staying around football, making sure that athletes are okay with their body and stuff like that.
It's interesting. I know what you told me you were related to Walter Dix, the great sprinter that came out of Broward County. We talked about your 4.39 speed. I'm willing to bet you probably played other sports growing up, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that. Some of your athletic background and why football ultimately became your biggest love.
I'm not related to Walter Dix, but I know I haven't heard about him too. But I ran track when I was in Jamaica. I played
Hmm.
basketball still. I played cricket when I was in Jamaica.
Cricket. All right, that's cool. And what drew you to football ultimately? Because I'm sure you were probably athletic enough to do whatever you wanted.
Yes, sir. Surprisingly, I was playing soccer when I got introduced to football. I didn't know nothing about football. So I can really say soccer introduced me to football.
And did they try to turn you into a kicker, or how was it that you made the transition from soccer to football? How did
Uh,
they
my
get you on the
coach,
football field?
my coach saw me as a kicker because he saw me kick a soccer ball 50 yards. So he would just teach me how to kick. But then he saw that I can catch and throw, so he made me into a receiver and a cornerback.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Tell me about the timeline for your decision. Nowadays guys are committing earlier and earlier, trying to be a part of a recruiting class to help recruit other guys, right? And for you, are you looking to get your decision done before your senior year, or do you think this is something that'll carry over into your senior year?
No, I think I should make my decision by 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 the end of my junior year or before that.
No announcement dates set though. This is still up in the air. It's just kind of a feel thing.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Who was the first scholarship offered from? Curious about that.
Louisville.
Louisville. Okay, and how old were you? What grade were you in?
I think I was in like eighth grade.
Really? Who was it that offered you? Tell us the story because that had to have been pretty neat. Did you run home and tell mom right away, or what was
Yeah,
that? What was that day like?
yeah. I just came out of practice and I got a phone call from one of my coaches that I know very well that coaches me. And then he called me and he said, "You have received an offer from Louisville." I was so happy I couldn't even like talk. Then I called my mom. I said, "I just got an offer from Louisville." And then she was like, "You serious?" Yeah. And I was like, "Yes." And she was happy, shouting, and all that. And then she was like praying over me and telling me, and she was just praying, 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 and just telling me that there's plenty more to come.
That's awesome. Um, So you have a teammate over there at Monarch, Samari Reed, who has been committed to Ole Miss. In fact, when I met you, I met you and Samari at the same time at that Broward High School football media event, and he wasn't committed to Ole Miss yet, but now he is. What's it been like to have somebody older than you go through the recruiting process? Because he was very highly sought after. Have you learned anything from what he's gone through?
I can say I learned a lot of things he been going through because it's great having a person that's older than me and committed to a school and telling me things that can contribute to me when I get older.
Any important pointers he's given you? Anything, any good advice you think you've taken from him?
It's been a lot of good advices, but I don't really
Hmm.
be like in tune with those stuff because his decision is his decision, my decision is my decision. So
Yeah. Coach, I hope you're still on the line here if we've got you, Coach Davis. But you guys are 6-3 this season. Right now, I think you're the number 5 seed in Region 4, although I know that still has to be worked out. The 6A playoffs get started a week from now. You guys have Southridge, West Broward, Piper, Homestead. Those are the teams ahead of you in the rankings, but I'm thinking you guys might move past Homestead. Tell me about this team that you guys have this year and getting to the state semifinals last year. What you think you can accomplish with this group?
I think if we put it all together, we could make another run. This group, they're a little bit different than our group from last year. We're still kind of finding an identity. I think the last couple of weeks we've been getting better. We're kind of figuring it out, but it's been a process through this season. We had a little instability with playing every week, so we haven't been able to kind of get into a rhythm. But I think
Hmm.
the last couple of weeks we've been getting close. So we're looking forward to the playoffs. We're hoping to move up to a number 2 seed.
Hmm.
That would be awesome, but that would be a big jump.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see what happens when those rankings come out. Jabari, how much does winning matter to you?
winning is a big factor to me because I don't like losing at all. Losing is not I don't really like losing, so I like winning a lot.
Miami, who we've talked about a little bit, and obviously I do the podcast for the Hurricanes. They're winning in ways that we haven't seen them win in a long, long time. What's it been like to watch them? I mean, they lead the country in scoring, they lead the country in yards per play. They're very explosive. Cam Ward is up for the Heisman. Does your vision of Miami change at all seeing them win like this?
I mean, I always had a good relationship with Miami, no matter if they're having a losing season or a good season. So the record doesn't really mean anything to me. It's just the love that they show me, and I will always show love to them.
Hmm. But I got to imagine seeing that offense, you probably look at it and say, "Man, I think I could fit in here. I could go catch some passes and make some plays."
Yes, sir. Especially what they're making their quarterbacks do. They're making them play free, as you can see with Cam Ward.
Hmm.
So as long as they're making their quarterbacks play free, then they should have a great program.
Hey, we started this episode talking about your transfer and how high school football has changed. One way high school football has changed is name, image, and likeness. And part of the reason you're on the show today is the network. They reached out to me. They're part of your representation. I'm curious, do you have any NIL deals? Last time I had a high school recruit on here, he told me about Darion Coleman, the quarterback who's committed to Miami. He was telling me how he has a deal with a card company, had to autograph a bunch of cards. I know other guys have deals with different companies, things that they got to do. What are your NIL deals so far, Jabbar? What have you had to do?
I just have one so far, and that's it.
That's it. And what is the deal? I guess what's the company with, and what'd you have to do?
Leaf trading cards. I just have to sign 3,000 sheets of paper, and then
Okay,
I just have to turn it in by minimum 2 weeks.
nice.
So
Yeah, it's the same deal Darion Coleman had. So did you get tired? Was there a lot of like just having the autograph, or did you get it done in time? How long did it take you to do 3,000 autographs?
I would say like around 4 to 5 days.
Yeah. Did you take a couple breaks, like bring out the Gatorade, sip on the Gatorade? This is exhausting, or that's
Yeah,
nothing for you?
I hit was hurting me, but I got it done.
So when you get to college, obviously the NIL things could explode even more, those opportunities, especially being a two-way player like you are. What are some advertisement deals you'd love to do? You've seen Cam Ward now recently do the Bose headphones. He's had all kinds of stuff that's really, really cool. Giorgio Armani, I think he's doing stuff for Armani now. What kind of deals would you like to get into?
I mean, I'm not really like invested into deals. I mean, I would love to do deals, but right
Mhm.
now I'm not really focused on deals. I just want to be a better person and work hard every day and get to the point where I can do any deal that I want to.
All right. I like that. Like, right kind of attitude. I know you have a really high GPA too, right? I think it was 3.8 is what I read.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about academics and just how important that is. And does mom made that important for you growing up?
Yes, my mom always told me there is no D or C in your name, so I don't have any bad grades or Fs. So there's no F, D, or C in your in your name, so it's either A or B's.
Yeah. Have you what's the report card maybe look like? Is it always straight A's? Do you have a B? What's the one subject that maybe, is toughest for you?
The subject I'll probably say is tough for me is probably math,
Yeah.
because math
There's
gets harder every year. So
Yeah. Yeah, I get that was my struggle as well, Jabari. So you're not alone. But what do you love? What's your favorite subject? You have one a class that you just love going to?
I'll probably say Spanish.
Really?
I don't know why, but I like learning new languages.
That's cool. Very cool. And you speak Spanish? Are you fluent at all?
No, I just like going there. I just like going there and learning a new language.
That's cool. Very cool. Coach, let's wrap it up here. I had one more question for you. How are you sort of handling Jabari's recruitment? Obviously, you've had guys get recruited and signed before. You have Samari right now committed to Ole Miss. Any advice you give him in terms of the future and how to handle things?
I mean, it's really all about fit and go where you're loved, go where you're wanted, because at the end of the day, you're going to be recruited by a lot of schools, but you have to be comfortable with where you decide to go,
Hmm.
because you're going to be there. You're going to be interacting with the coaches. You're going to be with those teammates. So you have to make a decision that fits you. So that's what I really try to tell the guys. Go somewhere where you fit the scheme. You can form a good relationship with the coach and you're going to get developed.
Yeah, that really is the key to it all, coach. You're absolutely right. And it's funny, kids now you end up signing with one school, right? You feel good about it, and then the coaching staff changes and guys are back in the train. It almost feels like the best thing for every one of these young men to do is meet as many of these coaches and go to as many schools as possible so that they get to know everybody in the business so that if things change, they can put themselves in the best situation.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of people tell you don't choose a school because of a coach, because those guys, they move around, they get new jobs, they do what's best for them. So you really gotta, you know, weigh the pros and the cons of it and then make a decision and just accept whatever decision that you make and be happy with it and make the most of it.
Yeah. You think we see Jabari just like Travis Hunter, maybe up at that Heisman ceremony, a guy doing it both ways, or what do you think the future holds for this young man?
I think the sky's the limit. Um, I think depending on what school he chooses, it'll be a lot easier to play both ways because at some schools, some levels, it's tough. Like the SEC, it's tough.
Hmm.
So I think it just depend on what school he decides is best for him, and then just go from there.
Yeah. And Jabari, is that ultimately what you want to do? Go to a place that's going to allow you to play both ways?
Yes, sir. That's on my mind right now.
That okay. So that seems like that'll be a big decision maker for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And are there any schools that you can tell us for sure have said you're greenlit to play both ways?
I mean, there's a lot of schools that told me I can play both sides of the ball, so I can really say
There's
that's a
not,
lot.
you can't just point one of them out and say these are just a couple of them. Yeah, there's a lot of them that did.
Yeah,
I got you.
there's a I can say a couple.
Sure, go ahead, share them. I'm sure everybody watching wants to know.
Um, I don't think I should share those because it's like personal business. But
Okay.
when they see when they say where I can commit,
Hmm.
and that's most likely a place I can play both sides.
Okay. Well, be very interesting to see when that decision is made. Everybody will be wanting to find out where you're going to school. But I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I wish you the best of luck the rest of the season. Hopefully you guys can get that state championship to Monarch this year. And if not, I'm sure coach and you will keep working towards that in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Coach,
you.
both of you guys, thank you so much for coming on. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Wide Ripe. We'll be back previewing the Georgia Tech game later this week.